recording time. We are past the hour mark, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions left.
All right, we'll be brief.
Oh my goodness. Which makes me hysterical because everything else prior to this moment had like, be brief. And I'm like, but it's so good. And it's such a great conversation. And it's such a great story. And like,
and I'm Italian. Like we can't be brief. I'm sorry. It's not part of our genetic makeup. I don't know.
It's not. Maybe it'll be 2 shows at this point. Who knows?
Hey, whatever works.
Right? Oh, speaking of being Italian, I also have a very Italian background with my family. My grandmother's family was from Abruzzi. And
that's where my grandmother's family is from.
We could we're like New Jersey neighbors, and then we could have been our ancestors' Italian neighbors.
Exactly. Wow. Yes.
My grandfather's family was from Sicily, and so we don't say manicotti. We actually say monogots.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Monogots. And it took me a while to realize that a monogot is not called a monogot by most other people.
I think it's also a Jersey thing, because I noticed that Jersey definitely shortens everything too. You know?
You think so? Maybe it was like a Jersey Italian.
I think it is a Jersey Italian, situation. But that's so funny. My grandfather's from Calabria, which is not quite as far down as Sicily, but it's pretty deep in the boot, So
it is deep in the boot.
Thing.
I know where that is. Yeah.
Northern and Southern Italians unite, So.
Yes, right. But meanwhile, the 25% Irish that I am, that's what you get visually with me. Like I look at the Irish side and not the 75% Italian side. So we honeymooned in Italy, and
gosh, that's amazing.
It really was. And we learned Italian before heading over via Rosetta Stone. And whenever I spoke Italian, even though I was learning Italian from Rosetta Stone, the accent that I kept using with my Italian, so many people stopped me and they said, "Oh, your family's originally from Italy." And I was like, "Yes, my grandmother was from Abruzzi." And they're like, "Yes, you're speaking with an Abruzzi accent."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
how sweet is
Grandma,
that? Yeah.
Grandma, I'm still channeling you. Because I
know.
can still hear her voice when I hear Italian. Like that's the accent that I hear. So it's just amazing. It's like ingrained in my subconscious. So anyway.
I know. Good times. Great memories.
Yeah.
Can't beat a great Italian
honeymoon.
Family, right?
Such a good honeymoon. That was actually my second time to Italy. The first time I went to Italy was in 2002 with a friend. When we arrived in the city and I just looked around and I saw all these bitty old grandmas walking around, I got very choked up because they just so much resembled my grandmother. I felt like any one of them. I just wanted to run up and hug them and be like, Grandma.
There's something about them. Have you watched anything? I think it's on YouTube, the Pasta Grannies. Have you seen that? You should have to follow that channel. It's so cool because it's just these short little videos. And, the one thing about Italian women, and I just recently wrote an essay about this in an anthology, they're excellent cooks, but they don't like you in their kitchen when they're cooking.
Yes. That's my mother.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, they're not really about to teach you. You just sort of have to hope that you can channel them, right? Like, and you kind of watch them from afar. You don't ask any questions. You don't ask to help at all, only if they ask you to do certain things. Like there's a whole list of unspoken rules, about it. But they started this Pasta Grannies because they didn't want all of the food to die with that generation. And so it's very cool because the women get on, they tell a little bit about their family background, and then they tell you what they're going to be making and why. And, it's very hands-on and, they're talking to you. And I think it's such a really important piece, especially if people didn't get that growing up, it's such a wonderful skill. And I feel so blessed because I can cook a lot of the stuff. And, my grandmother was one of 6. 3 were born in Italy, including her. And then 7 years later, my great grandmother and those 3 came to America, and then 3 more girls were born. But the 3 American Italians are still alive, and they're different than the Italians as far as like the culture that they sort of ascribe to and the cooking. And so I kind of feel like I had more of an Italian influence than, some of their kids, because with my grandma and spending so much time with her, that was just what she was about, So we kind of grew up very in 2 different worlds, in America, but also very much in this like Italian enclave kind of culture, which was super duper cool, really, really cool.
That is such an interesting time period, because similar with my grandmother, her first 2 sisters, her elder 2 sisters, were born in Italy, and then they came over to the States. My great grandmother arrived with the 2 girls, only to discover that her husband had died during the trip over.
Oh my
She
gosh.
remarried. I can't even imagine arriving in a new country to find out that your husband's dead and you've got 2 little girls with you. And she wound up meeting a tailor, remarried, and then had 2 more little girls, one of which, or not 2 more little girls, little girl and a little boy. And the girl was my grandmother. So she was the first generation American. And I'm fortunate that I do have my grandmother's pasta fazool recipe. But then grandma made this other dish, which has to be an American concoction, American Italian concoction. But it was like hot dogs and green beans and this red gravy sauce that was to die for. And I've never made it, but I have the recipe. And I'm like, I really should find grandma's hot dog and green bean recipe. It was so fantastic.
Sounds great.
Right? It was. Like she definitely had that. It was. And she would always make it whenever we came over, especially for my brother, because he would devour the entire thing. My mother would devour the pasta fazool, but and her baked ziti was to die for, and her meatballs. Oh my God, she made the best meatballs. I have her meatball recipe. I have the recipes, thank God, but I did not inherit the cooking. Only when my mother actually let me in the kitchen, which was for Thanksgiving. So I can make a phenomenal Thanksgiving, massive dinner. But everyday cooking, that's what my husband's for. He's the one who worked at Olive Garden and Friendly's for several years. And so he can do some of the Italian cooking from Olive Garden and then the short order cook from his Friendly's experience. So it feels like the loss of that is not ignored.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But trying to get back to writing again.
I know. It's so hard, you start talking about Italian food and culture, and it's just so easy to go off on a tangent,
Yes, I'm sorry that this podcast episode's going so long.
It's okay. It might be like the longest podcast episode. Like,
I think I'm gonna have to chop it in half or something. I'll figure it out. Behind the scenes, the cut scenes.